Hello, Darshan Maharaja here. Wishing all the dads a happy Father's Day. I hope all of you are enjoying this day to the full. One of my favorite movie lines is sorry to disrupt the festivities, but we have a problem. So, pardon me if I disrupt your festivities on this Father's Day. By the way, that line is from 2001 A Space Odyssey. I haven't said much about the foreign interference issue that is roiling. Uh, there is a lot to say, but I have always felt that there were other more capable commentators on that, like Sam Cooper, Terry Glavin, and on Twitter, Andy Lee, who is doing a fabulous job of exposing the minutest of details. So I have stayed away from that because it is slightly away from my area of expertise, if I can claim to have any expertise at all, that is. But there is one particular aspect that struck me yesterday, and this relates to Jagmeet Singh's statement. And I thought that I have clear enough idea on this to bring it to you. Jagmeet Singh said clearly that the 11 MPs who are named in the NSI COP report are traitors. He has tried to walk it back, but let's catch him at that moment when he said that they are all traitors. Now let us remember that by education, Jagmeet Singh is a criminal lawyer. So theoretically, at least, this falls in his area of expertise. Now, as a politician, of course, he can say things that are uh, widely away from his area of expertise, as if he's novice, maybe. He can say that because political compulsions are very different from professional standards. So, but let's take him at his face value. And if he says that the 11 MPs named in NSI COP report are traitors, and he criticizes Prime Minister Trudeau for not taking action in the matter. Now, to my layman's mind, it would mean that Prime Minister Trudeau is an accessory after the fact of a criminal offense, namely treason. So that would make him a traitor. And even Jagmeet Singh, by continuing to prop up the government of Justin Trudeau, who is not taking action in the matter of treason by 11 MPs, that would make Jagmeet Singh also an accessory to the same crime after the fact or twice after the fact. And therefore, he would also be a traitor. So I think this statement of his was kind of interesting in terms of its implications, what the extended meaning becomes, and it bounces back on Jagmeet Singh, which probably he has realized, and therefore he's trying to walk it back. I don't know, nobody knows, it's in his head. But this whole threat to our democracy issue goes beyond foreign interference. There are other factors at play that also are a threat to our democracy. And I don't think I have seen anyone present a complete picture of that, or as complete as is possible within the circumstances. I don't think I have seen anyone present that. So I thought maybe I can make an attempt and get the ball rolling, and then the people who know much more about this than I do can take it forward from there. Um, See, the evisceration of our economy, and by extension or by knock-on effect, the evisceration of our middle class, can also be treated as a threat to our democracy, because when these class divides widen, when there is rising poverty, rising criminality, then democratic institutions do not enjoy as widespread a support among the population as they would otherwise. So that is a threat to democracy. But even more importantly, I came across an article, excellent article in the Federalist, And I thank my Twitter friend Eric for sharing it on his timeline. And then I saw it, and it was eye-popping because the author had got an audio book of Frederick Forsyth's novel, The Fourth Protocol. And there were certain passages in that which struck him as very relevant, although the book is written in early 1980s, I think 1984. Uh, when I read it, it was 1985. So maybe 1984 is the publication date. And he found these passages very interesting. So he decided to buy a paper copy. And when he got the paper copy, these passages were missing. So he bought another paper copy of another publisher of the same book. And the passages were still missing in that as well. Then he located an old uh, print from the original print, 1984 or thereabouts. And then he ordered that. When he got it, he saw that the passages were there. So he was curious as to how these passages were deleted from the book. And he had enough connections to secure an interview with Frederick Forsyth himself, who is now 85 years old. But his memory is still very sharp. His mind is sharp. And in his interview, he asked Frederick Forsyth as to whether this had been um, with his express agreement or not. And Forsyth said no. So someone decided to take out the passages. If you have read the book, you know that it is about subverting the democracy of the United Kingdom. And where there was this historical figure called Kim Philby, who was a senior ranking official in the British Secret Service MI6. Incidentally, he was born in India, but he was British. Before independence, he was born, and then he moved to Britain and then joined MI6 and rose to a very high position. I believe it was the second highest position in MI6. And he turned out to be a double agent working for KGB. And at some point, he defected to USSR. And then from that point on, Kim Philby's character in the novel becomes fictional. It's not things that he actually did, but what the author imagines that he might do. And he wrote a detailed proposal, if you can call it that, for the chairman of the Soviet committee. And he laid out how the democracy of Britain can be undermined from within. So apart from the fact that these passages being deleted amounts to Orwell's rewriting of the books, these passages are very, very interesting. I'll read them out for you. The fictional Kim Philby writes, all history teaches that soundly based democracies can only be toppled by mass action in the streets. When the police and armed forces have been sufficiently penetrated by the revolutionaries, that large numbers of them, that is the police and armed forces, can be expected to refuse to obey the orders of their officers and side instead with the demonstrators. Our friends have done what they can. Excuse me, cancel. Something went wrong. Let me pull it out again. Yeah, our friends have done what they can since taking control of numerous large metropolitan authorities. Metropolitan, you are looking at municipal authorities here. Through the press and the media at every high level, high and low, they have either themselves or using wild young people of the Trotskyite, i.e., communist, splinter factions as shock troops, carried out an unrelenting campaign to denigrate, vilify, and undermine the British police. The aim, of course, is to vitiate or destroy the confidence of the British public in the police, which unfortunately remains the most affable and disciplined in the world. This is part of the fictional Kim Philby's report. Now, you are left wondering how much of this is happening in Canada and in other Western countries as well. That mass action in the streets, which is at least you can say tolerated by the authorities, if not encouraged, whether directly or indirectly. So you have mass action in the streets. The police and armed forces have been sufficiently penetrated by the revolutionaries. Now, here, maybe you can say that they have been influenced by the revolutionary ideology. At least they are afraid to act to the extent they have been influenced. And they refuse to obey the orders of their officers. Now, we are looking at a situation in Canada where the officers are refusing to give the orders. So, the question of the troops refusing to obey them is far away, and side instead with the demonstrators, like, bringing coffee to the demonstrators instead of taking action against them. I mean, every day there are new instances showing how the police are acting contrary to what is expected of a law enforcement entity. Just yesterday I saw a video of a student at University of Toronto who wanted to enter the premises to attend class, and the police officer was saying that it would be unsafe. Instead of dealing with the unsafe situation, they were advising people not to go there. So we have something far more advanced than this, I believe, or at least there may be a slight deviation from what this fictional report suggests. But we have something equally, if not more, dangerous happening in our cities now. This fictional filmy writes, our friends have done what they can, which is directly applicable in Canada. Uh, our metropolitan authorities, the police services, and even the mayor of Toronto is kind of like trying to avoid saying what needs to be said. So metropolitan authorities have been taken control of, not by the our friends, the Trotskyites and other communists, but rather by the ideology itself, which is even more significant. So every high level and low, they have either themselves or using Trotskyites, etc., carried out an unrelenting campaign to denigrate, vilify, and undermine the police. Now, here I recall the defund the police argument, which was a movement at some point, although not as big in Canada as it was in the US. But defund the police, or the denigrating acronym ACAB, ACAB. So the objective of vitiating or destroying the confidence of the public in their police was at least partly achieved. So if you take a overall view of the whole situation, namely the threat to our democracy, then foreign interference, although it is highly important, highly significant, highly worrying, it is still just one component of a multi-component problem that we have. And I don't believe I have seen this kind of a compilation in any other place. Even I wouldn't have been able to come up with this if not for that post which was shared by my friend Eric. So, hat tip to Eric. Let me know what you think about this. I'll see you in the next episode. Until then, goodbye and be well.